Hi, I'm Claire Tompkins, the Clutter Coach, and this is the Organize Your Life podcast. I am passionate about organizing because it makes my clients' lives so much easier, more relaxed, and with more time to spend the way that they want to. In every podcast, I will talk about an organizing, decluttering, or time management concept. I'll tell you why it's important. I'll also include an action step at the end so you can start practicing right away. My specialty is chunking down these big topics so they aren't overwhelming. That's the concept for the podcast, too. I'm now done with the material from my first book, 52 Simple Ways to Get Organized. You can buy my books on my website or on Amazon. You can also view the podcast show notes on my blog. I do this podcast to connect with people, and that means you. Let me know that you're listening. Shoot me an email at claire@cluttercoach.net. I would really love to hear from you. Okay, here we go. This is podcast 93, and it's about being focused. Last time I talked about being present. This time, right now, it's all that you have. This time I'll talk about being focused and utilizing that present time. The kind of focus I mean is related to being present. It isn't hyperfocus, where the house can be burning down around you and you're so involved in what you're doing that you don't even notice. This may seem like an ideal condition to be in when there's a task you need to finish. But hyperfocus usually goes hand in hand with distractibility and stimulation seeking, and those are at odds with being present. It also isn't activated by tasks that don't seem exciting, so it's not effective for getting routine work done. The focus I'm talking about is one flexible enough to remain engaged in the face of distractions, not to filter them out like hyperfocus, but to acknowledge them without getting sucked in, or to indulge them in a limited way and then return to the object of focus. If that sounds like a big challenge, you're right, it is. Humans naturally seek stimulation. We evolved to seek food, mates, and shelter to begin with. Seeking is also likely related to the reasons we explore, discover, and learn. We want to expand our worlds. Unfortunately, seeking behavior can lead us to desire more and more stimulation, past the point where our basic needs are met. The thrill of new sensations at an ever faster pace makes us feel that everyday life, in contrast, is a bit boring. We're also primed to be alert to novelty, again dating back to prehistory when we needed to be aware of changes in our environment that could be dangerous, and then react to them quickly. Those two ancient responsibilities of your brain continue to be active, sometimes in not-so-productive ways. Even if you have not been diagnosed with ADHD, you're subject to more stimulation every day than you can handle. That's just a fact. So you need to have ways to manage stimulation in order to get things done, because it's unlikely that stimulating events and things will go away on their own. Being mindful, as I mentioned last time, is a good practice to help you slow down and be aware of yourself in the present moment. Meditation is a classic way to increase mindfulness, but you can do it at any moment just by bringing your attention to what is happening right now. If you tend to hyperfocus, remembering to let the present moment in may be hard to do. But there are tools you can use. A simple one is to set a timer to go off at regular intervals, say 15 to 30 minutes. Make sure to use a timer that has a pleasant sound so it doesn't startle you. Every time it goes off, just take a moment or two, even just a few breaths, to remind yourself of being now. You can also use time reminders for activities like having lunch. That's also really helpful. How do you know if you're hyperfocusing? If you're spending an inordinate amount of time on something that's not necessary, but you feel unable to break away, that's hyperfocus. Anytime that you haven't made a conscious decision to continue your focus, that is hyperfocus. The opposite of hyperfocus is hypofocus. Instead of too much, you've got too little. It's hard to get things done because your attention wanders away so quickly. Hypofocusers tend to daydream a lot. Using timers and other reminders helps with this, too. Instead of using them to break out of hyperfocus, you use them to remind yourself to refocus. Use physical distractions to capture your attention enough to stay focused. Doodling or squeezing a ball can help. A physical distraction should occupy your hands, but not your vision or hearing, or you'll probably not be able to concentrate on anything else. If you're a visual learner, for example, a ball is better than a drawing that you need to look at. What you can do right now. try one of the methods here to increase your focus. As usual, you may have to try a few to see what works best for you. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Claire Tompkins, the Clutter Coach. If you like the show, I'd love it if you'd leave a rating and review in iTunes. You can subscribe, too, so the podcast will be ready and waiting for you to listen to. You'll find the show notes on my blog at www.cluttercoach.net, and you can check out my store to find books I've written and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you're a fan of the show, you can become a patron on patreon.com for as little as $1 a month. You can find my page by going to the Patreon website, that's Patreon, and searching on Clutter Coach. I'll still post the podcast free of charge, but I've got some cool rewards for folks who want to help me make the show even better. Come back next week for a new podcast.